Okay, everyone, welcome to episode 199, 99 yards.
The Jason Taylor episode.
That's right. We're not doing numbers anymore, and then our players, I should say, to
We're doing
commemorate.
seasons, and I love it.
Yes, 1999, the last season of the Jimmy Johnson era, brief 4-year period, and everybody's going to remember from that season was the end. Dolphins were 9-7, not a great team, kind of peddling. They did make the playoffs. They did win on the road in the playoffs, something they haven't done since at Seattle, 20-17, in what would become Dan Marino's final win with the Dolphins. It was a comeback victory, and J.J. Johnson, who was a rookie second-round pick out of Mississippi State, scored the winning touchdown.
Oh, and that was also a Cecil Collins team. That's what I'm looking at. I was like, oh, Cecil Collins was on that team. Okay.
He was, and I've said before, I saw him in training camp, and I had I can't say flashbacks, but looking back now, I had visions. It was what Ricky Williams looked like in terms of smoothness as a running back and the ability to see the field, make quick decisions. To me, Cecil Collins, had he kept his mind straight, stayed on the straight and narrow,
Stop going in women's windows.
Yeah, that dude. I mean, damn, he looked the part. Then the regular season started, and even before all his legal issues, it wasn't very productive.
That's one of the guys I'd love to do the "Where Are They Now?" because I'm like, is he still in jail? What's he?
I don't believe so. I think our buddy Dave Hyde might have done something on him a few years ago after he got out, but to me, insane waste of talent because like I said, one of the few guys who I will tell you literally blew me away, like in a training camp. That guy.
It's funny you say insane waste of talent. I grew up. I went to Carroll City High School, and there were a ridiculous amount of professional athletes and very successful people who went to my high school at the very same time. And some of the greatest athletes at our school, and we were a good football school, never played football.
Yep.
Never played sports. And I was just like, oh my God, this talk about people who are wasting their talents. But anyway, we shall digress. So Cecil Collins isn't the only one wasting their talents. You just
correct.
Know about him.
So, and then let's go back to that 99 season. The week after the Seattle game was a playoff game in Jacksonville. And I don't think I need to tell Dolphin fans how that one ended up.
That's how we ended up with Jay Fiedler.
Well, kind of, sort of. Dolphins lost 62-7, and it was ugly early. Fred Taylor, who you know very well, had I want to say maybe a 90-yard touchdown run early in that first quarter, which was
finalist for the Hall of Fame, I believe.
Sorry?
Fred's one of the finalists or semifinalists for the Hall of Fame.
I believe they're now down to the finalists. They're down to the finalists, yeah. Anyway, 62-7, Dan Marino's final game, Jimmy Johnson's final game, and it was a brutal way to go. And as you mentioned, Mark Brunell was a starting quarterback for the Jaguars, came out of the game. Jay Fiedler came in and mop-up duty in the next offseason. The Dolphins signed as their successor to Dan Marino, Jay Fiedler, who, if you are among those who believe in the win-loss as a QB stat,
I felt like that was some shade. Go ahead.
No. I have no idea. Well, I have no idea.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So that was the 1999 season.
Jay Fiedler was a fine quarterback considering what we've had over the years. Fine.
He was serviceable. How's that? He was
adequate.
And I will say this: he was off to a great start in the 2002 season. The Dolphins were 5-1. They beat Denver in a Sunday night game. Unfortunately, he broke a thumb. I think it was a thumb during that game.
Never a good thing with quarterbacks.
In comes the backup, lose the next 3 games, 5-4. They struggle, lost a regular season finale, and wound up out of the playoffs in the year Ricky Williams led the NFL in rushing with 1,853 yards. So
that was the only season that had more rushing yards than this year's Dolphins, just so you know.
How about that? And that running game could perform anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances.
How dare you?
And by the way, I bring that up because
how dare you? Raheem Mostert is on one leg.
Forget right. Oh, yeah, here we go again. Excuses.
Oh
I
my
bring that
God.
up.
Anyway, all
I
right.
bring that up as a prelude to this fact, which I know you'll love because you're a running game kind of guy. And if Raheem Mostert was on one leg, then he should have played. So I'm not having that. So
Yeah,
when
no,
hold on,
no,
I'm
no.
not
And the
having that.
Dolphin fans say, "Well, was the only one game left? Why shouldn't he? Why didn't he play?" It's never.
But
It's never.
you
You
can't,
never win with you people. Never.
dude. The
Never.
running game sucked at Kansas City, and you can't go well. It's because Raheem Mostert was playing injured. You can't. Sorry, not
Was
having
he
that.
or was he not playing injured? Answer the question.
That's fine, but you can't have that as an
You
excuse.
did
Again,
not answer the question. Was he or was he not playing injured?
he was playing at less than 100%. If he was injured, Omar, if he was injured to the point where it was affect his effectiveness, then you sit him out. There's zero chance you're going to come up with, well, running game sucked. Well, because
I sat here and you sat here and we both saw Jalen Waddle struggle through the practice that we saw. We saw him put on the field, and then fans were like, "I don't care what he looks like. He's got to play." You don't think they have the exact same mindset with Raheem Mostert? And I get it. I don't listen. The excuses are excuses.
Thank you. Then stop with those. Stop with those. You're doing.
But it was a factor.
You're doing that too much.
Your top 4 offensive weapons are limping around.
Do you know the Dolphins played 7 playoff games this year? They failed to get to 300 yards 4 times.
Was 7 playoff opponents?
Sorry?
You said they played 7 playoff games this year. You mean
7 playoff opponents. 7 playoff opponents. They failed to reach 300 yards. 300 yards is not a lot. It's
how many
4 times? It's not all injuries. Let's stop with the issues. Anyway, can I get to my point, which you'll love? This is the point you'll love because you're Mr. Running Game. In the first round of the playoffs, the team that gained the most rushing yards was 6-0.
Duh.
Not always duh. I mean, because I looked last year, it was more often than not. But then, although we should point out that sometimes what happens is if you have a big lead, you're going to run more, therefore you get more yards. Therefore, you're going to have that correlation is right there. So, because if you saw the games, and I saw I saw every game. It wasn't the running game that won it for Houston. It wasn't the running game that won it for Green Bay, even though they were successful in that area. So,
I definitely think it was a running game that won it for Green Bay. They were. I think it was a running game that won it for Green Bay because they pound the Cowboys.
And I think the star of that game was Jordan Love. It wasn't, and it was how
Brian Flores is quarterback.
Yep. He may have had something there because that dude. And again, going back to his last 9 games now, including the playoff game, 21 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's some work there. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Jordan Love or the Packers or any other team. We're here to talk about the Dolphins. 3 things on our agenda today. Let me start with the draft. The Dolphins now, as a result of the conclusion of the wild card round, know where they're going to pick in the first round, if they pick, and that's 21st overall. And there is some irony there because that's where their pick would have been last year had they had one, had it not been forfeited as part of the sanctions for tampering with Sean Payton and Tom Brady.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Listen.
Let it go. I can't let it go because the Dolphins don't have a 3rd round pick this year, also as a result of the sanctions.
You can let it go. The sanctions, if you're not tampering, you're not trying. Also, on top of that, you were really being punished for Brian Flores embarrassing the league. Stop with this whole tampering. No, they're punishing you for embarrassing them by getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar multiple times, and this major lawsuit against which we probably need to check.
It's not about the lawsuit. It was about the offer to throw games. Come on. If we're going to be real about this, not that the NFL would ever want to have that out there.
Yes.
Come on.
We won't
admit
what it's really about, but it's tampering. You flirted with Sean Payton, and you don't think teams were flirting with Bill Belichick before he got fired or figuring out what the situation was? Come on. Let's be real. That's the NFL.
By the way, I put it on Twitter because now he's interviewed with the Falcons, and of course the 28-3 jokes are coming out left and right. Can we stop it with that? Are you as sick? Am I the only one who's completely sick of that? I mean, we get it already.
What are you talking about?
All the you don't see on Twitter all the jokes. Bill Belichick walks into the meeting with Arthur Blank and goes like, 28-3. Okay, what next? It's all types of jokes. Or was the meeting at 3:28? I mean, they just never let it go. I mean, my lord.
I haven't seen it,
Oh,
no, but it's funny.
yeah, maybe because I've seen him too much. It's like, okay, we get it. I mean, it was 8 years ago. No, 7 years ago.
Hey, it was the last time that Matt Ryan was actually a good quarterback, and Brian and Mike McDaniel had something to do with that. So props to them.
I hope Mike McDaniel had nothing to do with the fact that they're calling running plays. We're in field goal range to put the game away and completely crap the bed with play calling and gave the Patriots a chance. But that's a different story. So, as I mentioned before, Chris Greer was asked, "Are you actually going to make a pick?" And he was like, "Maybe." I mean,
He was like, we're still. I honestly believe that they would trade that pick in a heartbeat. And I do believe that Steve Ross is a big whale hunter and he wants to win the offseason. I have no idea who's going to be available. I generally go through every roster and look at contracts to see where teams are going to try to shed players like Xavier Howard and Emmanuel Agba and figure who's going to move, who's going to try to be moved. And I have not gone through that yet. But there will be players available, just like Jalen Ramsey was available, and the Dolphins will be in the mix. Now, will they have the caliber player that you would have to give up to get that player? I doubt it's going to be a number one pick because I'm probably not giving up a number one pick for anything with the exception of I don't need a wide receiver, probably a quarterback. And
how dare you? How dare you suggest?
listen, I just said I'm only giving up a number one pick for a quarterback. Maybe if Teron Armstead retires, maybe I give up a number one pick for a tackle, but I don't see that happening.
Teams don't trade tackles.
And you're definitely not giving up a number one pick for an inside linebacker. So, but we'll figure out what they'll do. Here's my biggest concern about the Dolphins and the draft, and I know everybody.
Hold on one quick second, because I said something and I want to make sure I clarified. I just said teams don't trade left tackles unless the other team massively overpays, i.e. Laramie Tunsil. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the biggest issue that I have with the Miami Dolphins and the draft picks is that I am not a big fan of Chris Greer's drafting history. And I know everybody will say, oh, but the 2020 draft and 2021 draft, they were foundation of this team, blah, 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 blah. And I will argue that there are a lot of wasted picks in those drafts as well. And I know you're not going to hit on every pick. And if you hit on 1/3 of your picks, it's great. And yes, I know they got Jalen Waddle and they got Jalen Phillips and they got Javon Holland. They also got Liam Eichenberg and Hunter Long. And so it's not always a home run. And then you got the Channing Tindalls and the Cam Smiths. If you get more draft picks like Devon Achane, or if you have the same level of draft success that you have in undrafted players, I would think that phenomenal drafting skills. But right now, you can look at a lot of rookie classes, and some undrafted players have consistently outperformed some of the draftees, and that to me has got to stop. If you have, it's great to get these undrafted players, but they shouldn't be outperforming players that you drafted, and that's just a consistent thing here. And it shouldn't be that way. But yeah, you need to have more Devon Achanes than you do Cam Smiths. And I'm not blaming Chris Greer for all of Cam Smith. That's the Vic Fangio's got a lot of blood on his hands there. And I'm sure Cam Smith's got a lot of blood on his hands there, but you just got to do better with your draft picks. Because this back end of the roster, depth wise, like back end, and people don't realize this. This is a very top heavy roster, and yes, you got watered down from injuries, and that happens. But let me give you the top developmental players on the Miami Dolphins roster.
That's going to be a very quick conversation, I would think.
Okay, I'm just saying top developmental players on the roster, like young players that are still developing, that are cheap, relatively cheap, and one of those guys is not going to be cheap much longer. Javon Holland is the top player on your developmental unit. $1.8 million this season. He's still developing. He ain't where he needs to be.
Well, time out. Okay. Well, okay. Can I take issue with what you're saying?
Go for it.
Because you keep mentioning Javon Holland's going to ask for an extension. Javon Holland's going to ask for an extension. Well, if he's going to ask for an extension, you don't give an extension to a quote still developing player. So this is where
unless you want to get him for below what you think his talent level and market value is. I mean, Javon Holland, if you're Javon Holland, are you playing on $1.8 million?
Again, he's got no leverage. It's not.
And you didn't answer the question. If you're Javon Holland, you're going up for OTA and training camp on $1.8 million?
Yes, he's under contract. You can't hold out anymore. He's under contract. He doesn't have that kind of juice where he can.
You can't hold out for the offseason program. You certainly can.
Sure.
And
dude, he may very well.
You could certainly hold in.
He very well may do that anyway because of his knees. You really think we're going to see a whole lot of Javon Holland in the offseason? I don't.
Come on, MCL sprains. It shouldn't take you 4 months to heal those. But
I understand that, but maybe he wants to be like extra cautious. And if the agent pushes for a new deal, and the Dolphins say, "Sorry, we have many more other contractual issues to address." Sorry,
I'm not practicing. I'm sorry.
Don't practice. We'll see in training camp. And if you hold out 1 day in training camp, you're getting your ass fined.
Okay, no, I could hold in. And what you gonna do? Not a thing.
But again, if you're saying the Dolphins can't afford to have that doing, then he doesn't fall in the category of still developing. Then he's a stud.
No, I'm not putting him in the stud category. But
okay, then the Dolphins have no business extending him right now before they have to.
And he's got no business playing on $1.8 million. So we're at a standstill here.
Would he be? Do you actually think he's going to be the? Do you think every single solitary second-round pick who has had some measure of success gets a contract extension before year 4?
A lot of them do.
Did Robert Hunt do that?
That's different. Robert Hunt's an offensive guard, and they felt
which might be a bigger priority position for a team that's focusing on its offense. And number 2, who had a lot better body of work through 3 seasons than Javon Holland.
Wow.
Where's the lie?
No lie.
Okay.
I just wouldn't have said it. No, but no lie.
Why not?
All right.
Am I saying too much?
The developmental players, Julian Hill, and everybody is all upset. Everybody, the tight end, adding a tight end to this offense is just going to magically make it better. And I'm like saying to myself, yeah, the Dolphins are kind of obsessed with Durham Smythe and Julian Hill. They love those 2 guys, and they don't pass the ball to tight ends.
It's not like they didn't have a receiving tight end last year and they didn't use him. So
yeah, exactly. Touche to your point. Liam Eichenberg, still a developmental player. Don't know if he's a guard. Don't know if he's a center. Totally depends on what happens with Connor Williams and when he's able to come back. We saw Connor Williams limping around the locker room yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Devon Achane, obviously, you're one of your brightest stars on your team, one of your top 4 offensive weapons. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the lead back next year. Keon Smith is a young. Come on, I did. What's wrong? I said Keon Smith.
How many snaps did he play? Is
he a developmental tackle or not?
He's a young player who you're going to see if there's something there. The dude played. Did he play 5 snaps the entire season?
I didn't tell you that this was a great list. I just told you we're going over the young developmental players. Keon Smith, name me an offensive lineman that's a young developmental player that's under contract. Thank you.
Continue. You named Liam. That's one.
Yeah, Liam and Keon Smith. That's it.
Robert Jones?
Who? No, he's not on a contract.
He's an RFA, so if the Dolphins want to keep him, they keep him.
I don't think he's an RFA. Anyway, let's continue.
Okay.
Kader Kohu.
Yes. No nasty comments. I see that look on your face.
I'm moving on. I'm just continuing.
Nice.
Kader Kohu, 8 touchdowns, 130 passer rating.
You have
Eric Uzakama. I mean, you're gonna have to figure out how to defend crossers, like somehow, some way. Eric Uzakama, young developmental player, the only wide receiver that's really a developmental player, because I'm not sure I'm bringing any of them back.
They're all free agents.
I know. When I say I'm not sure I'm bringing any of them back, based on what we saw there last season. And then you got Cam Smith, which is it would
You're
be
forgetting one.
irresponsible. Yes, it would be irresponsibly to not mention Ethan Bonner. I
No,
apologize.
you're forgetting another one.
Who?
Kenny Kendall.
No, I'm not forgetting anybody.
Oh, you're dissing him.
No,
Per the Dolphins.
I trust me. Do you honestly think that this team has plans for Channing Tindall? Thank you. Okay, let's move on.
But if you're going to do that, do you honestly think the team has plans for Keon Smith, for example?
Yeah, they probably think they can make him into the next Kendall Lamb. Because if I'm Kendall Lamb, I'm generally not coming back here. Just off.
Well,
I'm trying to
getting a starting job anywhere though.
He performed like a starter this year. Why wouldn't he?
He did.
I mean,
by the way, just per the Dolphins, yeah, Robert Jones is indeed an RFA.
Okay, all right, that's okay. Robert Jones, I could put him on the list. That's respectable. He finished the season as a respectable starter. Kind of.
Bottom line is your point is well taken. Actually, that's
they got nothing. The whole roster's a mess.
This is what happens when the focus has been on landing the big fish the last couple of off season. There was Teron Armstead, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey, Bradley Chubb. Not off season, and Bradley Chubb is the one who cost you your acquired first round pick last year, and he's also the one who cost you your fourth round pick. Now,
and they do it again. And
it's tough to bitch about it with the season he was having. Unfortunately, he got hurt again, tore an ACL, and don't know exactly when he's going to be back. Back to stuff, which brings me to a column I posted not that long ago on alldolphins.com where I compared where the Dolphins are right now. There you go. Right now, as compared to where they were at this time last year after the season. And it's not, they're not, I was liking life a lot more than at the end of last year than I'm doing right now.
When you really break it down, and I'm going to continue to break it down, and you look at the salaries and the contracts and the free agents and the cap space and the soon to be purged players and the young developmental players, this is going to be the most challenging offseason that I've ever experienced for the Miami Dolphins in 15 years. And it's going to require some heavy lifting on Steve Ross's part in order to figure out ways to.
And by heavy lifting, we mean lifting the dollar bills.
Yeah. And man, hopefully this gets them to the next level. But ultimately, how you maneuver this off season could potentially cost people their jobs. Because if you're telling me that I got to invest $150 million in real money just to run it back, and then that run it back gets me 8 or 9 or 10 wins and first round elimination from the playoffs, somebody's head's gonna roll.
And I think they've kind of made that dive already, and they're like halfway to the pool. I don't know how you stop that dive, and this is why you made the point originally, and I think there might be something to it that they are so committed to that short window going for it all. I don't know how you can rein it back right now, so they might as well trade that first round pick for a veteran who can help them like immediately, run him back one last time, and then
or trade it for draft picks and get more young, cheaper talent. Because I can honestly tell you, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix this roster and how to fix. This is going to be a Herculean effort. And I know, and I really found Chris Greer downplaying the strain and stress that they're under financially. I found him downplaying it quite disrespectful.
Yeah, but he was.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, oh, hey, and it's true. You see the Saints do it every offseason, and they're $72 million under the cap, and they find a way, and then they put a team together, and then they never go anywhere. And
that's the thing. And the Rams did it when they won the Super Bowl, and eventually it cost them players like Jalen Ramsey, for example, where it's like,
Correct.
and that's what's going to happen with the Dolphins. They may not be like 5 players out the door, but they will be a good player who's going to be let go strictly because they need
to balance your books. There are 3 players that are pretty much Emmanuel Agba, Jerome Baker, and Xavier Howard. That's just to get the baseline, and that doesn't even include having to restructure players like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey, writing big fat checks to them. That's just to get to the point where you can re-sign your own players, some of your own players.
Correct.
So, and that doesn't even mean taking care of Tua or taking care of Javon Holland. Not a word from you. That doesn't mean re-signing Robert Hunt so you're going to have holes everywhere. And then the key ingredient is: are you going to be able to sign 1-year patch players like a Duke Riley and a Deshaun Elliott to fill your holes? And are you going to be priced out on some players like Andrew Van Ginkel and a Kendall Lamb? Just to run it back, it's not going to be cheap. So
no, but I could see a scenario where, and this is where this would fall in line to my idea of, like, in terms of the quarterback, let Tua play on his 5th-year option, run it back one more time, and do what you have to do, make the sacrifice you have to make to fill in the roster as best you can, and then revisit everything, and everything's on the table in next offseason. Because again, I think they're already too committed with a lot of big name, big money players that they went all in with a lot of the moves they made: Tyreek, Jalen Ramsey, Bradley Chubb, to name 3, to go back right now.
It's funny that you say that, and we bring up, because I still got to do a lot of research on contracts and proposed contracts. But if you right now, Tua is on the books for $23 million. If you give him a multi-year contract, you could potentially give yourself probably about $15 million in cap space. Now, not to say that that's necessary or wise or good or smart. I'm just looking at what Justin Herbert's cap number is, what Jalen Hurts' cap number is, what Lamar Jackson's cap number are on comparable deals to what Tua, in the ballpark of what she should get. But obviously, it's a long off season. We will be here all off season. How many stories you got up today?
We'll drop. No, well, the number of stories is going to. There's still going to be 2-3 stories.
Maybe but this is day 2. Tell me how many stories you got, Pupar.
Right now, only have 2 up there. Okay, so chillax. Don't set expectations, and we will revisit that discussion because you threw out what you want to do with Tua, and I'm not on board with that in the least. That's a discussion to revisit.
I didn't say I wanted to do it, so don't put that on me. I said what I said is it's going to get done because you know who they are and how they operate and how the NFL views.
I have a feeling it's going to get done. I am hoping that they don't make that kind of long-term commitment to a quarterback who still has a major question as far as exactly what his ceiling is. Questions that the other franchises obviously don't have. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it.
Okay. We've got a long off season to continue those discussions. We will be back later today to give you a wrap up, a live show, recapping the final Hard Knocks episode, the exits of the Miami Dolphins season. Obviously, I'm looking forward to this episode just to see how they close it out. And
we'll do a Q&A as well, as we always do.
Man, I wish we got Steve Ross in that final episode. Just imagine Steve Ross doing a sit down with Hard Knocks. Think about that. It ain't gonna happen.
I'm sure it's gonna happen. Or we could have an owner like Jerry Jones who speaks twice a week on a radio show.
We used to talk to Steve Ross all the time.
I know. Well, when's the last time that happened?
It was Donald Trump gate. It was Kenny Stills calling him out for being a Trump supporter and turning his team against him. Yes. That was the last time we talked to Steve Ross.
And that was 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
We used to get him on the first day of training camp every year. And
every year.
That has been discontinued.
Good guy, though. I always root for Steve. So, but looking forward to wrapping up the final episode of Hard Knocks. We'll be here live right after the show. I believe 10 o'clock, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's kind of a little bit early. We might show up a little bit early. So show up at like 9:50 because you know that Hard Knocks runs like 45 minutes. So
Okay.
we'll be here and hopefully you'll be here too. You know how to find us, alldolphins.com. And always check out the website, check out the stories, click on the work. You know how to find us on the podcast, audio platform. We're on every audio platform and we're on YouTube, All Dolphins. So see you later today.